The spooky season is certainly not over for the Denver Broncos, despite them getting the win. But special teams, ooh, spooky, spooky, spooky. Welcome into the Orange Crush podcast. Cody Roark, Rachel Vigil. We heard from Sean Payton on Monday, and Sean was in an interesting mood considering the Broncos got a win in Houston, and he didn't have to sit in the 6-hour TSA line in Houston, the airport, to get back to Denver. So I'm like, Sean, why are we so grumpy on this Monday?
Well, I agree. He was a little feisty here, which sometimes it's weird, Rachel. Like when the Broncos win, usually his press conferences, like you typically get grumpy Sean the next day.
Yeah.
When they lose, he tends to be more like laid back in the Zoom conference calls that we get. I don't know. It's weird, but basically what Sean had told us was, I'm here answering questions from you guys, and we have a game to prepare for in the next couple of days on Thursday night. So it was more like, originally this was scheduled to be, I think, at 11 a.m. And then they moved it up 3 hours to 8 a.m. kind of last minute. And then Sean was just like, we got work to do. I have to talk to you guys. We need to prepare for a game. I mean, I get it, but it's like, come on, Sean. Why so feisty?
Come on, Sean. I actually didn't even make it into the presser, so I got to give it to Cody. Cody's filling me in on all of this. Yeah, that 3-hour jump was, I think, a little crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's part of working in the NFL. You got to be on your toes at all times. Like, things can drastically change. Like, that's just part of being in the media. But yeah, I was surprised that he was grumpy. I'm like, okay, are you like trying to get off so you can go home for lunch or something, Sean? Like, what are we doing here? But with a Thursday night game, I kind of do get it. Like, it's crunch time, right? And you don't want to have this game be one of those games where you're like, I can't believe we didn't walk away with a win against a very bad Raiders team. So get back to business. Players have off on Monday. Then they'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, normal practice. Well, I guess you said it's a walkthrough, right?
There'll be walkthroughs just because, when we go out there, we're going to see them in helmets, and they're obviously going to be in just jerseys and probably sweatpants just because, you can't play a physical game that you played on Sunday and then just go put the pads back on a couple of days later. You got to get their bodies right as best you can for Thursday. So that's the typical approach. But 2 days of walkthrough practice here where, look, I think recovery, Sean is going to dial that up obviously on Monday, but these next couple of days are going to be so big for that recovery aspect and just trying to get your bodies as close as possible to being as good as they can be come Thursday night kickoff against the Raiders.
You know who I hope is really starting to feel better? That's Marvin Mims. I'm like, this Broncos special teams unit needs Marvin Mims to get back into the rotation because holy smoke. What was so interesting, though, is Sean, I feel like everybody is like, Darren Rizzi's got to go. Like, I even tweeted out, I was like, okay, it's time to stop the Darren Rizzi trade. I'm over it. So many mistakes, especially yesterday. And Sean Payton says, no, coaching is totally fine. It's the personnel, actually.
Yeah, I heard his comments after the game. I interpreted his comments about getting the kicking game cleaned up, or we'll find somebody that will. And part of me, I was thinking, I was like, he's got to be talking about the coaching there, right? I was like, wow, I can't, like obviously we know he and Riz are obviously they know each other well, they're close. That to me was surprising. And then Sean on the conference call, he was asked, great question from our good friend Luca and obviously Parker Gabriel. They asked the question, did you mean personnel or did you mean coaching? He says personnel. He said coaching's fantastic. I don't agree. I think a lot of people don't agree that coaching on that side is fantastic because, Rachel, you saw it just like everybody else did last year. This Broncos special teams unit was top 5 in a lot of categories last year, one of the best units under Ben Kotwica. They had a couple of hiccups at times last season, and he was fired at the end of the year because he simply wasn't Sean's guy. Sean goes out and he gets his guy. Darren's unit has had more hiccups through 9 weeks than Kotwica's unit had all of last season. And I think that we all look at that and it's like, there's some hypocrisy here.
110%. And there's also politics when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? Anybody tells you there's not politics in sports, I'm just going to tell you right now, you are so very, very wrong because there is. And I understand it from a little bit of the aspect of like, you have your guys, so you got to support them. But you can also say things aren't good enough when it comes to coaching. Just like I think it would be safe to say things weren't good enough from the offense yesterday. Despite them getting a win, Sean Payton has a lot to clean up when it comes to the play calling. Bo Nix has a lot to clean up. There are politics. And I think just sitting there saying coaching was fantastic, unless there is something that we clearly are not seeing, right? Like we a play was called or whatever it's going to be, and they truthfully messed it up that bad. But again, even when we go back to 2 weeks ago, Marvin Mims was not supposed to be in on a play where he got concussed.
Yep.
How is that on Marvin when he's been so spectacular for so many years now?
Yeah. No, that's on the coaches 110%. You have to. So as a coach, especially a special teams coordinator, I mean, one of the things that Sean said the issue was on Sunday against the Texans, which special teams play was horrible outside of Will Lutz and Jeremy Crawshaw and Devin Key making a great tackle for yet another consecutive week there.
Yep.
The frustration is like there was one play. I don't know if you saw it in the broadcast, but Rachel, it was like after the Texans kicked a field goal, RJ Harvey and Tyler Bidet, it shows them on the broadcast standing next to each other and pointing like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Apparently, they had 10 guys on the field, and Sean Payton said in his conference call with us that he said, when we have 10 guys on the field and you're supposed to be on this unit and you're on the bench, we're going to find someone else to do it. I don't know who he's talking to, but something to keep an eye on here. I mean, certainly the personnel, but that's also here's the thing. As much as it's on personnel, like to know when they're supposed to be in, it's also on the coaches because every time it's third down and long, sometimes you're like, hey, punt alert. And that way that unit knows that, hey, if we don't get this, we're on the field, we're punting, vice versa. That's as much on coaching as it is the players. So that's where I was like, yeah, the hypocrisy is a little interesting.
I'm totally with you. Okay, let's just go through. I had to go to my list of all of the special teams mishaps that happened yesterday because it's so many. You have the bidet touchback. You got to be smart. You just got to be smart and know where you are. That comes down to coaching, in my personal opinion. Like, You just have to be smart. That's things you got to practice. Your awareness, even though the moment can be big, you got to be aware of it. The bandy, muffed punt.
Oof.
Brutal. Yeah, is that going to happen every once in a while? Absolutely. But again, those are things that you just have to have down, and it's so frustrating. 45-yard punt return, blocked, right? The coverage on that one, unacceptable on so many levels. The blocked kick, the 15-yard penalty on the long snapper. Come on now, what are we doing? JL Skinner had a penalty, and then the bandy, no fair catch, and got lucky on that one. So there's just so many.
The JL Skinner one was such a BS call, in my opinion, because I have never in my life seen a gunner called for holding against the jammer where the jammer is obviously making contact with JL, and JL, you can see he goes like this. He hand fights, swims, wraps around, and they call him for holding when he's just really hand fighting, and he beats his guy. I felt like that was probably the one bad one. But unfortunately, that being called has a negative impact on the course of the play because I think it added 10 yards to the end of that run. Rachel, this special teams unit has given up big plays a lot. Like there's been big returns in so many games this season. They're 32nd right now in the NFL in kick return yards against average. And that it's unacceptable. Tremont Smith had a 36-yard return against them as well. So it is a coaching thing. And look, I hate, this is always a hindsight argument. The Broncos had Chris Banjo in the building last year. He learned everything from Mike Westhoff, Ben Kotwika, obviously a former player of Sean Payton. He goes on to be the special teams coordinator of the New York Jets, and they have one of the best special teams units right now in the NFL. Despite how bad the Jets are, that is the bright spot for that team. I can't help but think it's like, wow, Banjo would have had this unit in a very, very good spot. But once again, I don't know if Sean was willing to say, hey, we're going to take a first-time coordinator. He just came off the playing field 2 years ago, and now we're going to make him a coordinator. I don't know if Sean wanted to do that, but it's examples like these that I look back and I say, you know what? What's the difference? You have an experienced guy in Rizzi whose unit has not lived up to the expectation that you certainly had when you brought him in as one of the most highly coveted special teams guys in the league, and you are scared to take a chance on a guy who understands it as a former player that is doing really well right now. That's frustrating to me.
No, 100%. And I think we'll find out too, end of season. If things continue down this stretch and Darren Rizzi has a job next season, very, very interesting to pay attention to. That's for sure. Let's move on to offense, though, because we have to talk about Bo Nix. We were talking earlier in the season, so many underthrown balls, I feel like, and now we're seeing so many overthrows and underthrows. The fact that Bo Nix almost had 4 interceptions yesterday, I mean, he got so lucky with the deep balls. where's that? Is he just trying too hard to make a play? Is he not, is he not stepping with his feet? What am I trying to say?
Stepping up in the pocket.
Thank you. I'm like, the movement and the body movement, you know what I mean? Like, where's the disconnect that's happening? You obviously sit back and watch a lot of film, but is there a trend you're starting to notice that when it comes to Bo?
I honestly feel like the trend is when there's times where he's in rhythm, he's great, right? But when he's out of rhythm and things aren't necessarily going well for the offense, you can see that it kind of impacts him somewhat. Like yesterday was the first game I think we've seen in a while where Bo ran up into pressure, essentially. Like when he was running up to try to launch it downfield, he runs right into a sack upfield right through the A gap. That was a little weird to me. It was like, okay, we haven't seen Bo do that in a handful of weeks, which was great. Great progress from him. I will say this, the Texans did a really good job of their stunts and their pressure looks that they obviously brought forth.
Yeah.
I think that's the fastest defense. When you look at those players that they face off against, D'Amico Ryans has one of the fastest defenses in the NFL. Look, we talk about how dominant Denver is. That's a great defense there. But there were opportunities that Bo had that he missed. And look, I want to preface this by saying us talking about the valid criticisms of Bo Nix does not mean that we're being negative about Bo, that we're being haters on Bo. We have to talk about the bad. We also can acknowledge the good. Look, for as bad, I think that was Bo's second worst game that he played compared to the New York Jets game last year as a rookie. I felt like from an efficiency standpoint, he was just too up and down. There were times where, hey, just tuck it and run. We'll get to that here in a minute because he did at the end of the game.
Thank goodness.
But he's just so up and down at times. And I don't think Sean Payton is always doing him favors by not running the football. J.K. Dobbins started off this game with some really good runs, and then they just decide to just throw. The run game was there. It was there, and they went away from it here. And so when you're down, you have to press a little bit.
Yeah.
They do, and I'll say this about Bo. For as rough as Bo was on Sunday, he had plenty of good moments too. But the thing that stands out to me, the clutch gene, Rachel. And I think that is so important to have, but you have to just find a way to piece it together 3 quarters before, not necessarily the fourth quarter. We love the comebacks. We love the winning close games. But this whole notion of being down and not being able to do anything offensively, you just have to find that consistency. And I like that. Look, he missed Evan Ingram on one play down the left sideline. The very next play, he dials up a touchdown shot, left side, going right back to Courtland Sutton. I love that he's not afraid to try again. I like that he's got a little bit of gunslinger to him, but sometimes I also think that can get him in trouble.
He's got a very short memory. Once the play's done, we move on to the next one, which you really got to appreciate because we've all seen young quarterbacks, right, who get inside of their head and you just watch the frustration continue to build and build and build. They're walking off the field with their head down, like so frustrated. We've all seen that. I don't think I've ever seen Bo Nix do that, actually. It's rather impressive. Also, I have to go back because it will bother me until the end of the show. Plant his feet. That was the word I was looking for because I'm like, why couldn't that come to my head? Anyways, besides the entire point, I thought that the play calling was interesting again, but you mentioned the run game. J.K. Dobbins was doing great work. And yes, it only was 27 yards, right, for the times that they did give him the ball. But still, regardless, I mean, it was the fact that in the first half, 27 yards in the first half was the total for rushing. Just
6 total carries, too, offensively.
Yeah, like he was doing really, really good. We were seeing him get open. We were seeing him find the long runs. And then they just totally went away from it. On 3rd and 10, we're doing a screen when we've watched this Houston defense. Make that make sense. We also saw it on 2nd 10 in the second half. And I'm like, what are we doing here with the screen passes? 1st and 10, I'm totally fine. It all works out. When your offense can't get any rhythm at all, what are we doing? But I got asked yesterday, why did the Broncos defense or offense look so good against Dallas? One, because they're a terrible defense. But Dallas only went and did a pass rush under 30% of the time for the entire game. We saw a lot of pressure on Bo Nix yesterday. That was the difference. They were forcing him to think very, very quickly because they were going to go after him no matter what.
And their linebackers, I mean, Azeez Al-Shaair is so fast. And the way that he would just cover, one thing that they did, especially on 3rd down situations, they drop those guys back, and they're also keying on anybody that's crossing. I mean, once again, we're seeing situations, Derek Stingley playing outside leverage, a safety playing inside over the top of Courtland Sutton. Their idea was, hey, we want to take away Court. Troy Franklin obviously got some targets. I got frustrated. There was one play where Troy Franklin, the DB got to him early. I just want Troy in that situation, advocate for yourself a little bit and be like, where's the penalty? Because if you don't fight or advocate for it, the refs are never going to throw that flag, even though the cornerback, he got there earlier. I think that's something I'd like to see Troy do a little bit more. But I also like that Troy comes up big. I mean, that 2-point conversion that he had, that was such – for Bo, the pressure that he had there, for him to toss it up as high as he could there with that DB trailing underneath, that was huge. I mean, it's like, all right, the big play Broncos come up when you need them to. But you are right, Rachel. The Texans defense did a lot in terms of their disguised looks and coverage, the pressure that they sent. And when the Broncos found themselves in third and long situations, they went and they're like, we love our speed. We're going to play back. We're going to have you throw it. We're going to rally and tackle, which I think makes Bo's throw. He had to Pat Bryant right before the 2-minute warning to end the game. Yeah. 3rd and 11 was a beautiful play. It was a dime. It's going to make our film room this week here for the Broncos offense. Yep. What a play that was from Pat. What a play that was from Bo. But it's like, all right, can you just piece together this consistency throughout the course of an entire game? I really think that's all Broncos fans want, is just the consistency factor to be there for this offense. Yep. Because, Rachel, if it is, we know how good this defense is. This is a defense that could carry them deep into the postseason. And if you have an offense that can put up points and be effective, it makes you very, very hard to beat, which is crazy to think. Not sure if you knew this at the top of your head, but the Broncos right now after week 9 tied for the best record in the NFL. Who was that on our bingo cards here, that the Colts, the Patriots, and the Broncos were going to have the best record in the NFL after 9 weeks of play?
Hell no. Are you kidding me?
No, it's
absolutely
crazy.
Not. I can tell you the fact that the Patriots are in the – okay, just move on from the Broncos. The fact that the Patriots are in the conversation is more mind-blowing to me than anything. But no, but also this team feels like a 5-4 team. This team doesn't feel like a 7-2 team. Do you agree?
At times, I mean, they're not playing their best football. No. And I think that's what is the scary part, is like, Rachel, what if this team can play up to their potential, at least offensively? And look, you have to have better play on special teams. But the offense is really going to be the deciding factor here. We know how good the defense is. If this offense can play how we know that they can be, up to their potential, they're scary. They're a scary team. But we just our holdup is like we see it 1 week, then we don't see it the next week. We see it 1 week, we don't see it the next week. It's a valid criticism.
It's the roller coaster that we're on with this offense every single week. The defense, real steady. We're just trying to, go up the mountaintop. Unfortunately, right now with the offense, we're on this part of the ride where we're just constantly going, and I'm getting sick watching it because I don't know what's going to happen.
Left, right, up, down.
Are you a roller coaster fan?
Hell no.
Oh, really?
Hell
okay, I don't mind roller coasters.
Okay, here's something embarrassing about me. Oh. I get nauseous, even if you get on the tea kettle things.
Oh, I can't spin.
I get nauseous on that roller coasters. Anytime my stomach drops and then it goes boom, 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 absolutely not. I can't do it.
So what's funny is I get super motion sickness. Like car rides through the mountains, terrible motion sickness. I can do, as long as I'm not spinning, I can do roller coasters, no problem.
I have to drive or else I get car sick as well.
That does help you 100%. I totally agree with that. Okay, anyways, off of our rant on roller coasters, I'm getting sick with this Denver Broncos offense one because we just don't know what we're going to get. And I will one time be at a high point and I'm like, oh my gosh, they look really good. And then the next time I'm like, I'm way down low, but I know that they might be able to pull it off, right? And then all of a sudden I'm going to be at this high point. That's how I feel every single week. So it's kind of frustrating because we can see it, but also make sense. Evan Ingram was the number 3 target for the Denver Broncos on Sunday. He had 0 catches, 0 yards. The number 3 target. How does that make sense? I simply don't understand.
Yeah, and look, I would say that's probably more so on Bo in this game than it was necessarily Evan. I mean, there was that one down the left sideline. Bo threw that a little too high, and even Bo talked about it post games. Evan doesn't lose confidence in him, which is nice. Like those guys talk after every play, but like that was a high throw. Yep. Bo acknowledged that, and then there was one where it was just Bo was trying to roll out to his right, and he tries sidearming it, and Evan's just. That's such a tough body adjust to have to do.
Yeah.
I want Denver to get Evan more involved early on. Like what we saw against Dallas, the quick game. Just get him up on a quick sit route, bang, fire a quick passing game here. It's the other stuff that's not opening up right now.
If I'm Evan, I'm frustrated.
100%.
Like, I'm sorry, there's no way you can't be, because you're trying. I mean, on that overthrow, he went up for that ball and he tried everything in his power, and you could tell when he came down, he was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
It's a wide open touchdown if he hits it.
100%. And you're sitting there just thinking, you're supposed to be the guy that comes in and saves this offense. You're the Joker. That's what everybody's talking about all offseason, and it has not played out that way at all. I would be frustrated, and I think that's on one, play calling, because sometimes Sean doesn't even have him involved, it feels like, and two, because his quarterback can't get him the ball. But it opens up the question for me is, where's the disconnect between him and Bo, right? Because Cortland and Bo, they got that chemistry thing, and when they need it to, they can be super clutch. Is it just because they haven't played together long enough? Like, are they not seeing as much time in practice? Like, where's the disconnect? And we don't know the answer.
It could be a little bit of both. I think it's valid. I mean, even though that Evan was at training camp with Bo, I mean, sometimes it takes, like, I would even say it even took a large portion, like, toward the end of last year, really, for Bo and Cortland to, I mean, they were the number one target connection between each other. But in terms of that comfortability, being fully there, saying, hey, I know exactly where Court's going to be. He knows exactly where to be as well. I'm going to get this to him. Even if I've got pressure, I'm going to throw it to a spot and he's going to be there. I think that is still kind of playing out here with Evan and them. But also I'd say certainly Evan's utilization and how Sean has used him at times, or has taken him out, or has, not put him in a certain position. It definitely makes things a little more difficult when that consistency factor is not there. Evan certainly was brought in to be a joker, but the joker that we're actually seeing develop here, RJ Harvey, is becoming that. And it's exciting to see here with RJ. While he's not contributing so much on the ground right now, as a receiver, he's dangerous. And it is very nice to see.
It's so fun to watch too, right? Because he's not this like super tall, big guy, I feel like, that we all anticipated this joker to be, right? Like, he's just one of these smaller guys, but he is fast. He's got quick speed. He can pivot really nicely. Like, he has been so fun to watch too. And I think he's a funny guy too. Like, in the locker room, every chance you could hit. He's like a little quiet, but he's definitely, I think he's got a little bit of sass to him too. So it's interesting. I don't know what to expect from this offense. And I think that's what's hard every single week when we go into a game is I don't know which offense is going to show up on Thursday. Yeah. And while I'm not really worried about Thursday getting a win, I am worried about the following week when you have the Kansas City Chiefs. And that game scares me.
Yeah, well, the good news is that Denver's going to have 10 days to prepare, and maybe an outside chance, Pat Surtain will be okay to go.
Yeah, he didn't go on IR.
But I would say that maybe I put it at 10% right now. So I'm not banking on it, but I know someone that I talked to said that the hope is that, initially when the injury happened that Sunday, they told me the exact injury, and I couldn't say it, I couldn't report it because once again, that was kind of an off the record conversation, but they told me that the hope was going to be that he could come back for Kansas City. I think it depends so much on how he feels. Denver's going to be smart with it. Having this game against the Raiders, now you have 10 days after that to prepare for Kansas City. Yeah, I mean, you might have a chance, but I think the safe bet is we're going to see him against the Washington Commanders, because then after KC, Denver goes into the bye week, which, hey, it's coming at a nice time. You can get everybody back healthy, hopefully. And then you have a second half run that you got to make, because what is it? You play the Commanders and then you play the Raiders. So
I had that Commanders game circled because I was so excited to see Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix go head to head. The Commanders last night, heartbreaking.
That was heartbreaking. That whole game, Seattle whooped them. Seattle's a little scary in the NFC right now. But the Commanders, I kind of had this stance in the offseason. I felt like they were going to take a step back. Defensively, they're brutal, but man, they are getting battered by injuries. Jaden Daniels might not play in that game. I wouldn't expect him to at this point.
I'm pretty sure he's got a broken arm.
Dislocated his elbow. We're waiting for, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
It was an elbow dislocation. I mean, anytime you have that, it's not good.
No,
but
I haven't seen that report.
He probably should. He'll probably go on IR and miss at least 4 games at this point. If it is not season ending, and then they lost Max, I think it was Max McCaffrey, or was it Luke McCaffrey? Yeah, they lost the McCaffrey guy to an injury. They lost a couple of defensive guys. Marshawn Lattimore tore his ACL. So that Sunday night football game was going to be very exciting. Right now, it doesn't look very exciting from like a matchup standpoint, but it will be more than likely Marcus Mariota versus Bo Nix.
True. I actually did not know the answer to this, and I had a group text that I'm in. What point can you start flexing games? What week is it?
Ooh.
Do you know? I did not know the answer to it.
I think certain networks have like choices now. Like for example, I think
So the Chiefs game could get flexed to Sunday night.
I feel like the Chiefs game could get flexed because what is it? It's Dallas. Is it Dallas?
Let's just look it up.
That's interesting. But yeah, I've heard rumblings of that.
Oh, okay.
I've heard rumblings of that, which personally, here's my stance. Keep it in the afternoon. I don't care about that one being on Sunday Night Football. I want an afternoon game versus, we're gonna get a Sunday night game the week afterwards, 2 weeks afterwards.
Let's see. It is Detroit at Philadelphia. Oh, I
That's just
would flex that.
No, I wouldn't flex that out.
That's a good game.
They must have changed it because somebody said it was Dallas initially.
Right, because it would be November 16th. Detroit at Philadelphia is Sunday night.
Who does Dallas play that week?
Good question. Dallas Cowboys. They play Monday night. That's why. Cowboys Raiders is Monday night.
Why did the Cowboys get 2 Monday night games?
They're America's team, didn't you know?
Ugh. Disaster. Absolute disaster. Yeah, that one obviously. Yeah, keep that one in the afternoon. I think if Detroit, Phillies, that's a good Sunday night game, honestly, to watch.
Okay, hit me with it. We're gonna go through. You tell me what you think the Broncos' record will be by the end of the season. Okay? They sit at 7-2. Raiders Broncos, win or loss?
Win.
Chiefs Broncos.
Ooh, tough to say. Kansas City's coming off the bye. They're going to be healthy. I think Denver's defense is going to make a difference. I'm going to give them a win. 9-2 going into the bye.
Commanders.
Win. 10-2.
Raiders.
Win. 11-2.
Packers.
They just lost Tucker Kraft.
Yep.
I'm going to say win. 12-2.
Jags.
Win. 13-2.
Chiefs.
On the road. Kansas City. Christmas. Loss. 13-3.
Chargers.
Win. 14-2 season.
14-3.
14-3, yeah. 14-3 season.
That is crazy.
Doable. Crazy, I know. But also,
even if you have a plus or minus of 2 in there, like that's really insane.
You're still in a good spot.
That's a 12-win season. Nobody would have thought that going into it.
No, I think most people I think my preseason prediction was 11 wins, 10 or 11, which that's great. Like that's progress. We're not like saying, hey, the Broncos need to go out there and only, they need to win 14 games. They're going to do that. It's like, that's such a crazy expectation to have considering where they're at. Now that we see where Kansas City is at.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And look, the Chargers are banged up. They lost Joe Alt again.
Yep.
Their running back room, they lost another running back. They're down, I think, 3 or 4 backs total. Things are getting interested. And obviously we know the throwbacks. Oh, it's throwback week, Rach.
I know, again, which makes me so happy. Thursday night's going to be so fun. I'm actually really excited for it. I love night games.
I know. We'll have a special pregame show for you folks on Thursday. Yep. Maybe some recap of the NFL trade deadline. Don't think the Broncos are going to do much, but the Raiders could be impacted by the trade deadline. So I'm very curious to see what comes to fruition. And folks are going to find out on Thursday. A little bit of a pregame show.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited. Thursday night football. As always, we appreciate you guys so much for hanging with us here on the Orange Crush podcast. Hard to believe the Broncos with another fourth quarter comeback. Hopefully they can keep this win train rolling. We will see you guys on Thursday. Bye, everybody.